as if my mother was falling through space the moment I was born and gravity was optional. Picture me setting myself for impact when she grabs me. You know you don't have to fall with me, right? I mean, you can spend your life falling my way if you want to, but you may not take my energy and mistake it for your own. I will not allow that. Think about this, my beautiful boy. If you could go any way you wanted, is this the way you'd go? See, the world is not waiting for us to set it in motion. It is already gone. We are born into a going world, and sadly, too late do most of us realize the fulcrum that our ankle bone connects to, the fixed point of our footsteps. And by the time we do, we are often too far along to say, if I'd known that, if I'd seen that, if I'd considered that, I would have gone about it another way. By the time we come to understand the true nature of our own physics, our bodies too often are at rest. We have a slight understanding of it when we're young. When we choose our own adventure, we finger hold our space, unwilling to commit to the wrong ending. 5-year-old cowboys with a do-over in every holster, living life with a reset button and a finger on the ready. I'm better than this game would have you believe, but come on, I'm bored. Let's go outside and run around. See, I haven't run around in a long time. And I stopped for the reason I started. Someone told me to. Someone said, go outside and run around. This is the time you do it. And then someone said, quit doing that. Come inside and eat. Go to bed. Get a job. This is the time you do it. And in both cases, I believed them. And I did as I was told. I took my finger out of the book and committed to my ending. I put away my do-over and retired the reset. I looked at the roads I'd been given and said yes. In the going world, I got gone. My fulcrum became feet. My fixed point got broken, a body at rest. See, conventional wisdom tells us that the stars belong in the sky, so I took them out of my eyes and put them there. I recalibrated my gaze to look out instead of look up and made the whites of their iPhones my North Star. I charted my course in the brake light constellations I traced out in front of me, which means I found my way by going where others had already been. Think about that. Call it the collateral damage of a roadmap that we let ourselves be limited to the lines we were drawn inside of. It's the mechanics of motion, the way it goes, predicated by the way it went. We move the way we move. When we are born, we are taught to move that way by people taught to move that way. Think about that. Your life is a meal, and you could use any ingredients in the world. What do you taste like? All right, now what if you had to make do with the food in the pantry? The leftovers in the fridge, someone else's flavors, the way they put the world together to get the meal they wanted. How do you taste now? See, when I told Barack Obama that America isn't ready for a black president, he responded, well, I am. And since I'm not comfortable with their timeline, I better get them on board with mine. He said the world is a blank canvas. Your life will be whatever picture you can create. Now, I said, what if it's not? What if they call it a blank canvas, but it really comes with a picture of your life? Mortgage, you choose the house. Married, you pick the wife, a picture of what your life should look like, drawn by someone who isn't you. They tell you the canvas is blank, and they believe it because it's what they were told, and it is hardwired into our DNA to believe. The leftovers are fresh, we tell ourselves, an evolutionary adaptation, so we don't spend half our life fighting an instinctive urge to go outside the lines or go crazy, wondering why we wake up nightly and check the refrigerator, aching to see something that isn't there, something that tastes like our birthright, looks the color of our mind's eyes. For so many, the lessons of our adolescence teach us acquiescence. We are born into a going world and raised to go along, taught to confuse the way it is with the way it should be, and told that the effort and time to change is not worth the result, and convinced that doing it different is doing it wrong. Think of it as the energy of existence, the centrifugal force of conformity. Consider whether you ever actually wanted a phone or you just felt the energy of everybody else having one. I mean, ask yourself this. If you are watching the sunset in a place so removed from man you cannot catch a signal, are you actually there? I mean, if a tree falls in the forest and you have no way to tweet about it, does it make a sound? Perhaps we want to drive in LA for the same reason they don't in New York, for the same reason Coke in Michigan is clean water in the Sudan and milk without radiation in Japan will soon be the new pink berry. There are people who will die without ever having been 25 miles from the place they were born, who instead of moving out and getting married, will get married and move her in. For them, Starbucks is a well. The local factory is a goat. Sunset is TV. They look to the crops to get the weather. Ask, how are you? To get the news. And they live that way for the same reason we live the opposite. And we think they are sad for the same reason they think we are. Way it goes. I mean, look at the world. Imagine it without roads, the feeling you could go anywhere, joined with the awareness that you don't know where you'll end up now. The roads are there, paved, painted, highlighted on a map you inherited. Feel the force of these roads. Feel the pressure telling you, go this way. Plot your course with our coordinates. Find your way along our path, and with that much energy pushing you in the direction you were born going, imagine what it would take to stop and change course. What strength does it take to take your whole life in your hands and crumple it up like a story you're not interested in finishing, and just that easy, start it clean? Imagine eating gravity all up while you plummet down because you had a craving to fall up, turn their sky to your ground. Imagine that. If your footsteps are found across their heavens, then how high your sky must be. Now bring me the person in LA without a cell phone, a headshot, an eating disorder, the quiet New Yorker who uses the crosswalk, refuses to honk, the old black man in New Orleans who hates jazz and will extol to any who listen the virtues of Justin Bieber, the 7-year-old girl at a barbecue in Texas who refused to eat meat, the Muslim in Salt Lake. It's what we're taught, what we're told, what we are given. It's how the deck got shuffled. Think about the game you stop playing because it isn't any fun. Think about the moment when you stop playing, the moment when you want to, the time between the two, the slowing down, the stopping, the changing course. Kinetic becomes potential, becomes kinetic again, different. We think we know who we are. Then the earthquakes. The levee breaks, the water rises, the towers fall, the stocks plummet. We ascend what we thought was the summit and discover someone else's base camp, the invention of the iPhone. Or was it the Commodore 64, the cathode ray tube, the printing press, unrest in Egypt, then and now, the inciting cause for and result of Facebook? He didn't know where he was going when he left. There are people who change the game, who leave the game, or object to how the game is played, even some who invent a new game. Think about them if you decide to just acquiesce and play. Think of the young German boy who held the hand of a young Jewish girl. Strange, she had been a young German girl just yesterday and walked with her into Auschwitz because we go together. Envision Martin Luther, little boy who would be king, sitting with his father on some dark southern road, looking straight ahead as his father found the will to say to the officer, "I'm not a boy. This is a boy. I am a man, and unless you address me as such, we will not talk." And with that, he whispered to his son, "My sky is your ground. You go where no one else has, and send me postcards like Neil Armstrong writing thank yous to the people who paved the road he walked all the way to the moon." I mean, you didn't think he was the first, did you? He was last. The first footsteps on the moon walked by the last man on the road. Think about that. I want you picturing blank canvases, clean plates, world without roads. Every time you look at the moon or sit in the passenger side of your dad's car, I want you listening for the lilt of your voice in the playground song of Run Around Cowboys. And when you hear it, drop what you are doing, turn your lines into jump ropes, and sing, "This is my world. Welcome to it." I hope you like the way I made it. I didn't like it how you had it, so I chose to recreate it. Tell them you don't have to stop the world and spin it different. You may not even want to, but you need to understand that you can. It can be done. It has been done before, and no one who ever has done it was any more qualified for the job than you. A successful person makes a to-do list the same as we all do. Only difference, he puts the hardest things first because he understands. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you've crossed off 10 things. It matters that you crossed off the right one. On the day that I was born, falling, my to-do list said this at the very top: spin the world different. Instead of falling further, I climbed up onto my mom's shoulders. I kissed her on the head. I said, "Thank you." I tied my umbilical cord to a pencil and I hurled it like a javelin. I landed in a small village with a Starbucks and a goat. Beside me, an old black man was singing Justin Bieber songs to Mark Zuckerberg, a 44-year-old married man who lived with his parents and never misses sunset, invites us in for game night. In less than 10 minutes, we had started making changes to the game, and within a half hour, we were having the best time playing a game we had made up on the spot. Our cell phones, they were off, so we couldn't announce it on Facebook, which was fine, since everyone we would want to share it with was there. If I had updated my status, it would have said, "You can spend your whole life falling my way if you want to." Do you want to? It takes as much energy to change the world as it does to keep it how it is. The canvas is blank. The plate is clean. The world has no roads. If you could go any way you wanted, is this the way you'd go?